better judged by 12 and even judged by a liberal horseshit Obama placed judge than carried by 6, and that would be the sum total of the best commentary on this gentleman here in Albuquerque getting gunned down on the Facebook page. Play dumb games, win dumb prizes. But that's just the decisions that they chose to make that day when they armed themselves with knives and they collected together to wage domestic terrorism against this country. Again, our right to peaceably assemble and have civil discourse and peaceful protests are excellent, but violence is where we draw the line, because we know throughout human history that it is only through peaceful civil disobedience that anything gets done. And we know that. As you can see my face right now, I'm enjoying my day, my God-given right to enjoy the entirety of my day, just like it's my choice to have the entirety of breath in my body, breath that is not my own CO2 returned from my mouth, hitting an illegal mask and being forced for me to breathe again. We're going to get into that. But first of all, Father Al today on Presentation Ministries was talking about fasting. For those of you who are doing intermittent fasting, or maybe you're doing a no sugar diet like we're doing here, or you're doing what's the other one? I'll pick a damn fast. You do the Benedictine fast, where you don't eat on Wednesdays or Fridays. You only have one giant meal. And what that does is, there's a piece of our history when food was not always just 12 feet away waiting for you in a cold box, and maybe you and the rest of your hairy cave-dwelling friends had to wait before you got to jump on and kill the next thing that everybody got to eat. And so in that scarcity of food, it was the focus, the mental focus that it took in order to successfully bring down something that was probably larger than the sum total of the 30 people that are jammed into the cave. And so in this collective hunger, you can guarantee that they worked together and they strived and they endeavored to bring down whatever the hell it would be. And they'd eat it and they'd celebrate and they'd dance in the fire and they would begin again. But the biggest point of this is the idea of just fasting. And that's what Father Al was talking about today, that to have that presence of mind, to know that, in this case, you can choose to be fasting as you attach that to your prayer, and now your general daily prayers as you go about your day, right? As a successful person doing successful things, as a winner who's consistently winning, so much so that you wake up a winner, you go to bed a winner, and to spend your day in its entirety with a smile on your face, enjoying the very presence that you're here, to be thankful and to live with gratitude, to welcome everybody, whether if it's a person in a drive-through or you're holding a door open for, hi, how are you? And you're smiling, because that might be the only smile they get that day. And if that is how you spend your entire day, those will be the people that surround you. Now, that's for those of us in the faith realm who have put life in order and understand that once you have full confidence and faith and trust in the Lord, then the choice to engage into fear, or the choice to engage in anxiety, or the choice to engage in a resistance really just persists in those things that you seek to remove from your life. And what has been done in the collective here, in our culture of death here in the United States, is that there's been a very simple divide amongst the faithful who are creative and optimists, and for the most part are having tremendous days. They love the hope for the future. They love watching. Maybe you got a garden out back, and you're watching it change every day. You've got a diet that you're monitoring. You're watching the number change every day. You're teaching yourself a new skill, and that's improving every day. There's another segment of human being that does not have that confident assurance and faith. And what they have is a movement to a movement to a movement where they've elevated humans. And in their elevation of humans, it's only in their minds that humans can pull themselves from the struggle that humans created. Whereas us, people of faith, heart-centered, remember, we're listening and feeling and experiencing from here, not the monkey mind of fear. So you have one side, again, optimist, positive, growth, winning. The other side is hate, and it's destruction, and it's violence. And we know now for a fact that, again, we've said it many times, they're not going to stop at statues. They're not going to stop at gestures. They're not going to stop until the world is this blackness that they reflect into it, this complete emptiness in who they are, that they then go out and seek to find other people who also agree to live and act in that way, and then they destroy. Because culture affords them this place where they get to label themselves as a victim, or they get to put on the hat of virtue, and then from this hat of virtue, they wield violence. You're an unsuspecting woman on a bus. You're a 92-year-old lady walking down the street. You're a guy holding an American flag. You're a guy holding a Bible. You're a person who believes in the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. You are advancing your prayer life because you're preparing for heaven by living heaven here, but also being prudent and being preparatory, because history tells us that in these times and in these culture wars, especially the way the Chinese did it, is that these struggle sessions lead to the outing of parents, which leads to outright cannibalism and slaughters. And so those of us of faith who, call it the Christian, Catholic, black, white, and Mexican genocide that we're experiencing here in the United States. And even though we are experiencing that in the United States, we have the hope that things are going to improve, because we do see that things are improving, because the other side has been so propped up in lies and so propped up in their violence and so propped up in their hatred that they're burning out. And the rank and the file among us, and the people who have commutes and kids and jobs, they don't have time for it, because it's not how successful adults act, it's how children act. But that's what they need. They need the children to usher in the socialism. Once that happens, they get moved out of the way, and the power vacuum comes in, and your rights are extinguished from you. And they're going to lie to your face while they do it. It doesn't matter whether they're just going to make things up. You have a Tommy Bahama shirt, that's attached to this, that means this. I saw a picture that says this, you're a white supremacist. I see real people engaging in domestic terror here. People using Molotov cocktails and throwing them at the police. That is signs of domestic terror. You're tied to ISIS. You're tied to Hezbollah. You went to Syria to get training. You are domestic terrorists. What I see now is, and watch for it, and the reason I put our multicultural picture here, is that they're going to take gun owners, people of faith, across all races. They're going to label this Second Amendment approach to your own preservation of your safety as, quote, an institution of racism, and then use that as a weapon to beat you into submission. And just know it. If somebody approaches you to argue on the internet, ignore them, because that's not something that is going to better your day. But have confident discourse, and as soon as the name calling happens, then it's time to bail. And how about that? We're almost under 10 minutes right now. JohnToll.net. weaponsgradefaith.com if you want to check out the merch over there. I've got a big cartel and a my Shopify, all at johntoll.net. Thanks for watching. Get us on the Facebook page.